They speak of caverns, they speak of crows. They start throwing stones in places the mind shouldn't have let people even know. It didn't exist there, it was never even there. Except maybe the one. There was only one way of possibly even knowing that that cavern or those places could have even existed. Until maybe somebody were to slip up and point you in the direction, you might not even ever know those were there. You're walking through places you don't understand, sounds coming out that make no sense. Images are appearing from the darkness, things that your mind has been playing on. Tricks that you know shouldn't be there. Shapes forming from nothing. It's a constant fear. It's a constant terror. And it's a constant unknown. Throw a stone, hope for a chirp, hope for a bat. Maybe if you weren't throwing the stones in places the mind told you not to go to, you wouldn't be having a frenzy of parasites. You wouldn't be having a frenzy of flights. Things flying at you, things coming at you in different directions that you didn't even know could have existed. Fourth dimension, fifth dimension, I told you not to go in there. I'm not scared if you slip and fall into a hole you weren't supposed to even go near. Like I said, I told you not even to go there from the beginning. You can't come to a place you don't understand. This place even wasn't meant to be understood. Falling apart, going further, walking footsteps echoing back and forth, repeating like the sound of the ocean. Waves crashing, foot collapsing. You didn't know it stabbed through your leg, but there's a searing pain. Your mind's telling you to turn back, but all of a sudden you're stuck and you can't even turn around. Now you're encroaching another problem. 4 feet coming at you slow, fast. Which is it? How big is it? How small is it? Is it moving fast? Is it moving slow? If you don't know the size and you don't know the speed and you don't know the attack coming at you. Pack of hungry wolves prowling. The sadness to it is that you don't even see the eye glimmering back. Nothing. You just know it's getting closer. Place you were warned about with monsters you might have not even known existed, nor could you even imagine them because it's a place with imagination coming to life. What are these signs? The signs were long gone. You were back at the beginning. It was a cave. You decided to go further. I don't know who goes cave diving into a place that no one's even known existed. It's like, what were you expecting, to come back out alive? Is hell on earth? Is there hell in a hole? Is hell whole? Is it here? Was it there? If heaven's supposed to be great and things can always be worse for me and you, and there's always somebody that has to have had the worst, would that be person number 1 in hell? Is there one person in hell, the one who gets to watch all of us be happier than that one person so miserable? It's you right now. It's you. I've had visitors before. I've had visitors smart enough to know to not even go through the front door. Blasphemous as it seems against one way. Just keep passing. There's things in there that you never thought would have been there. There's things in there nobody would have thought would have been in there. There's stories, there's ideas, there's concepts, there's dioramas, there's exceptions, there's deceptions, there's infections, some encryptions. Some things self-taught, some things shown by others. Some things a combination of things that should have never been. Some of them call them sins, some of them call things I should have learned from the beginning. Are you really calling it the beginning? When was the beginning? Was the beginning when I decided to not turn away? Is the beginning of the sins that the Father passed on from him, and he keeps going to go after him? These caves lead into caves of another human being, or is this just a mind linked to a deeper, darker part of itself? These are things we could explain, the things that can't be explained, but we don't want to, or simply say can't be explained. Is there something protruding out of our mind that says, help me, dear God, even though the silence says, stay away? As it is, we all have manholes in our system that need to be covered, open sewers to places no man should have fallen in. Gilded is the heart, strong enough to think it cannot be stabbed. The only thing is you can go down the scale and rub smoothly, but once you go up and start pulling and start prying them off individually, you start feeling the pains of the heart can be broken individually, piece by piece. And the only thing you had to do was try to not put a knife in itself. Some sciences. Some prying, some trying. Some end up crying from the individual end of it. One problem built up, everlasting, finally exploded within a bottle that thought impenetrable and also unbreakable. Couldn't pop the cork, but enough pressure eventually made it shoot off, and it just went off. What are we feeling from that? What are we moving on from that? What are the questions that we ask when we look at each dark side, each part of us? We all have certain sins in our body that need venting once in a while, but once in a while we also recognize that they shouldn't even be there. Do we really question where the darkness came from? Do we say it's okay? Do we just keep living with it? Do some of us fight it unknowingly? Do some of us fight it intentionally? Do some of us hold it in forever? If you can really admit what the darkness is on the inside without having to put a face to it, would it be able to be killed? Put a name to each sin? Detail to each body. If my sins were my kills, then my bodies would have to be soaked in acid because they do not need to come back to life. We all say that, but we all fall back in love with the dead once in a while. No more of that. Coming and going, the dead. Body should stay in the ground where it exploded. It shouldn't come back to life, and neither should certain things that you buried in your past. You can bury as many hatchets as you want, but the reality is those were inanimate objects that weren't going to get back up. You'd have to put it back in your hand. But sometimes when you put a body in the ground, you got to remember to put it in deep, because sometimes a shallow grave is the most common thing found. I'm not trying to leave no shallow graves in that cavern, and I'm most definitely not trying to have any bodies in there. Yeah, there's darknesses, there's images, there's thoughts, there's processes and details I'd like to not have light shed on. Some things I'd like to not ever have happen again. Say that all. So as each person has their own individual cavern of darkness, do you stop and wonder if the monsters that are similar to yours look any different from them? If any of mine had to take shape, would your take shape similar to that? Monster within us. So neutral. Does a monster really know what it is until it has blood in its mouth? What was it before it knew how to kill? What brought the killer on it? What brought the motivation from the victim to bring into the killer? Was it a three-dimensional process? He killed that because that killed it on the inside? And what is it that gets killed on the inside is another question to boot. don't think we can answer that too much. What do we got going for it anyway? Some questions, they don't have answers, they don't need answers. Some of them they don't want an answer to some questions. No matter how obvious an answer on the inside could be. What is it lurking in the dark? Brought back to the caverns. Could you find something to shed light on things with an awkward light on it, things with a twisted light? Sunny as it may be, how come everything looks so gray? Is chaos a color? Is there a color to death? Are they one and the same? What is death? What is chaos? What does chaos look like to me? What does it look like to you? Chaos is an interesting thought process. Chaos isn't just one thing in motion. It's like a super force. Bring it down. What is death? Is death a god, an imagination, not real? Darkness when we sleep, no dream? Is it dream what we want forever and ever? Is there something pulling us up out of here afterwards, a mirage put on by a test? These aren't the processes we can understand at this point. These aren't the things that you question even for yourself, because when you question it yourself, you find yourself in the darkness that you think has a light. If you got a false light in the darkness and you don't know what you're walking into, it's better to be passive than it is to be aggressive in such situations. Better be passive. You take the aggression out, and where does it get you? Do you be nice forever and receive nothing, and be mean forever and receive nothing? Which one's easier to do? Apathy is so unfulfilling. But the attempt is a completely different experience that makes you feel like you've accomplished something. And that accomplishment could be the extra skip in the step, or it could be the extra push to move forward. That accomplishment doesn't mean too much. Does an accomplishment always possess beauty? Can an accomplishment possess darkness? Supposedly, yes, if your accomplishment is revenge. But if revenge is served so well cold, there's absolutely no reason to try warming yourself up over it. Just get it done and over with. Done and over with.